reality, these stories can set the stage for unrealistic expectations, which then perpetuates the overwhelm, stress, and worry we often feel as new mamas. They're hidden in our daily lives, and they tend to gloss over the complexity, the messiness, and the sheer unpredictability of both babies and the mothering experience. Welcome to Mothering from Within, the podcast where we dive into the heart of parenting during those magical yet challenging first few years. I'm Kaili, a mama of two, a pediatric occupational therapist, and your guide on this beautiful journey of motherhood. Every week, we explore the wonders and hurdles of motherhood with curiosity, we gain clarity around our babies, and find the courage to trust our instincts. If you are a mama who wants to do motherhood your way, confidently, courageously, authentically, then you are in the right place. So grab a cup of tea, tuck those little ones in for a nap, or bring them along for the ride. It's time to get curious, gain clarity, and unleash your courage to do motherhood your way. A gentle disclaimer, please do not consider anything discussed on this podcast by myself or any guest of the podcast to be medical advice. The information is provided for educational purposes only and does not take the place of your own medical or healthcare provider. In today's episode, I'm excited to talk about reflecting on the stories that we have about infants. These infant stories are important because they actually perpetuate unrealistic expectations, which then leads to more overwhelm and stress and worry that we feel as mamas. After listening to this episode, my hope is that the stress and overwhelm will begin to melt away, leaving room for you to become more confident as a mama. I want to focus on reflecting on these infant stories that are woven into the fabric of our culture from our current societal expectations. They're passed down through generations, and of course, they're shared all across social media platforms. From the moment we enter motherhood, we are surrounded by stories about what babies should be like, how motherhood should feel. These stories often paint pictures of things like peaceful newborns, blissful feeding times, and babies who sleep through the night from the early weeks. But in reality, these stories can set the stage for unrealistic expectations, which then perpetuates the overwhelm, stress, and worry we often feel as new mamas. These stories are not necessarily explicitly said, but they're hidden in our daily lives, and they tend to gloss over the complexity, the messiness, and the sheer unpredictability of both babies and the mothering experience. We rarely hear about the challenges of colic, the trials of teething, or the exhaustion that comes with round-the-clock care. And unfortunately, these stories often, though inadvertently, they become a measuring stick against which we gauge our success or failure as mothers, often leaving us feeling inadequate when our real-life experiences don't match what we think should be happening. As mamas, it's important to pause and reflect on these stories. Ask yourself, how do they align with my experience? Do they acknowledge the vast spectrum of normal when it comes to infant behavior and development? Are they adding unnecessary pressure to my journey? Reflection allows us to sift through these stories, retaining the sort of wisdom that serves us and our babies, while gently setting aside this sort of unattainable, self-imposed standards. They allow us to take what resonates with us, with our heart, with what we want for our families, and just leave the rest. By engaging in this reflection, we give ourselves permission to craft our own stories, ones that honor the beautiful imperfections of real life. In doing so, we can begin to let go of the pursuit of perfection and instead embrace a path of authenticity, one that celebrates each unique baby and the individual journey of every mama. Let's talk about these stories that we are sort of fed in our society that can set the bar for an unattainable ideal of perfection. I want to take a moment and let you know about my book, Mothering from Within. Like a good friend, therapist, and mentor, this book offers guidance and support to help you navigate motherhood with intuition, grace, and yes, a bit of humor. It's full of evidence-informed, developmentally appropriate, attachment-focused information on developmental milestones, baby sleep, reflux, feeding, mama mental health, and so much more. To grab a copy, check out the link in the show notes below. So first, I want to chat about infant stories around sleep. Sleep is a big one. In our society and Western culture, we often have this expectation that babies should sleep through the night from a very early age. But where did this expectation come from? A long, long time ago. Actually, the history of infant sleep is an interesting one, and perhaps I will do another video on just that, looking at where this whole concept of sleep training even came from and how it has evolved over the centuries. But for now, this story of babies needing to sleep through the night or learn to fall asleep and get back to sleep independently, it really overlooks the biological norms of infant sleep patterns, which naturally include wakefulness and the need for comfort and feeding at night. These infant sleep stories can perpetuate this stress and this overwhelm we feel as parents, because when we expect or we're told that our baby should be sleeping through the night, and then they don't because, surprise, every baby is different, it can feel like we're doing something wrong. It's as if there's this unwritten rule that good babies don't keep their parents up at night. Consider the following questions. What do you know about infant sleep? Do you think infants should be parented at night? Where do you think infants should sleep? Why? When should infants sleep alone? Why? When should babies sleep through the night? Why? What do you think about feeding to sleep? When do you think babies should stop needing to feed at night? Why? Along with these sleep stories come the stories of independence in our babies and even children at varying ages. Our society talks about how babies should be self-soothing and how we need to teach them how to self-soothe so that they can learn to sleep through the night without parental support from an early age. Or even the age-old story that you shouldn't hold your baby too much or pick them up every time they cry because we don't want them to become too dependent on us as parents and adults. We often praise infants who show early independence, such as self-soothing, sleeping in a crib or a bed in their own room versus bed sharing or co-sleeping, or when they're playing alone. And this can make parents feel inadequate if their baby shows a healthy need for constant closeness and attention. In reality, our babies need closeness in order to feel safe and to survive. As humans, we all need closeness and connection in order to survive, but especially our most vulnerable little ones who come into this world with only 25 to 29% of their brain formed at birth. They actually need us for a long time. These infant stories that tout early independence in babies can make us question our instincts to hold, to comfort, and to be close to our babies. Next, we have infant stories around being a quote-unquote good baby. There is the common narrative that a good baby is one who cries little, who feeds easily, and adapts easily and quickly to routines. The story that quiet babies who sit there and observe are good versus active babies who want to constantly explore their world are somehow something we have to manage, quote-unquote. Or that good babies love everyone, never experience stranger anxiety, and can be happily passed around at parties without issue. This concept of the good baby fails to acknowledge the unique temperaments and needs of each child. But it also doesn't take into account all the many things that can cause fussiness, feeding difficulties, and overall dysregulation in babies. The truth is that babies cry, they fuss, they wake up at night, and they need comforting. They get frustrated when learning a new skill, or irritable when a new tooth is popping through. They go through all kinds of developmental phases and those stormy weeks and the wonder weeks. The thing is, every baby is a good baby. Yes, some babies seem to have an easier start to life than others, but inherently, all babies want to learn about their world, to be loved by their parents, and to find joy in daily life. And it is up to us as parents to figure out how to help them. And then, of course, there are the infant stories around feeding. We often hear that feeding your baby should be instinctive and come easily to all. Yet so many mothers face challenges such as latching difficulties, supply issues, or the need for supplementation, which the stories don't really account for. And what about the transition to solids? Do you have stories about how to introduce solids, at what age, whether to give purees or use baby-led weaning? Where did those come from? In reality, feeding can be a journey with ups and downs, preferences, and sometimes outright refusals. And feeding changes as your baby grows into a toddler who then grows into a young child. Consider the following questions. What do you think about breastfeeding? Why do you have those thoughts? Did you think breastfeeding would be easy and come naturally? Or perhaps you were told that your nipples may need to toughen up and some pain was normal. What do you think about bottle feeding? Where does that thought come from? What about latching to either breast or bottle? Do you have any thoughts about that? What are your thoughts on low milk supply? How about when to introduce solids? At what age? And what foods should you be giving your baby first? And finally, I want to talk about stories about postpartum and motherhood. These are the stories that suggest a quick bounce back for new mothers, both physically and emotionally. And they ignore the complexity and time it takes to heal and adjust to a new life phase after birth. Stories like motherhood is a constant state of bliss, of contentment, connection with your little one, and that life is just one big happy day. These stories perpetuate this idea that challenges, fatigue, moments of frustration or anger are not normal parts of motherhood, which is just plain wrong. Or even the belief that motherhood comes naturally and instantly. In reality, when your first baby is born, you are also born into the role of mom. And many aspects of caring for a baby are learned and honed over time through experience, through trial and error, through making mistakes and learning from them. And while maternal instincts are a real thing and play a big part, there's also a learning curve, and it's okay to seek help, to ask questions, and not know everything right off the bat. Consider the following questions. Are you expecting to get back to your pre-pregnancy body or back into those pre-pregnancy genes? When and why? Do you feel ashamed or proud of your soft belly or stretch marks? When do you think you should be ready to have sex again? Do you think you need to be always bonding and connecting with your baby? Do you feel ashamed, triggered, or like a bad mom when your baby cries? Do you think you need to entertain and stimulate your baby all day long? Do you think you need the best toys and gadgets in order to make motherhood easier? Or for your baby to grow and thrive? Where do those thoughts come from? How do you feel about just sitting around the house and being with your baby? Do you think you need to get all the chores done while baby naps? Why? Do you prioritize taking time for yourself, or do you feel guilty about this? Do you think you need to be with your baby 24/7? Why? There are so many more questions I could ask here, but the point is that our society has put a lot of hidden expectations on us as mamas, as parents, and it's crucial to step back and reflect on these stories. They can pressure us to strive for a perfection that doesn't exist and can rob us of the joy found in our unique, real-life experiences. Motherhood is not one size fits all, and neither is your baby. It's about finding your rhythm together, learning from each other, and most importantly, giving both yourself and your baby grace along the way. By questioning these stories and setting them against what is true for us, our own unique families and lives, we can begin to rewrite the narrative, one that's rooted in authenticity, embracing the beautiful, messy, and genuine path of motherhood. And trust me, once you start to intentionally question these stories, the stress and overwhelm will start to melt away. Thanks for joining us today on Mothering from Within. If today's chat sparked something inside of you to explore your motherhood journey deeper, the Mothering from Within Collective is waiting with open arms. This program offers an intimate, high-touch coaching journey designed to empower you with the confidence and clarity to embrace motherhood on your terms, free from guilt. Get curious about your parenting values, gain clarity on your baby's sleep, development, and more, with comprehensive courses, one-to-one support, group Q&As, and a nurturing community. This is your invitation to join a community of mamas doing it all their own way, supported, seen, and held. Visit the link in the show notes to learn more about the collective and how we can walk this beautiful path together. Until next time, stay curious, embrace clarity, and let your courage shine.